There was a brief period in my life where I was consistently getting injured and hurting myself and breaking bones on my body. And that's where the title of this video, that's where me being called the Crippled Kid kind of originated from. So from the 8th grade through my senior year of high school, I got in the habit. I guess it's sad to say it's a habit, but I unfortunately was getting hurt very frequently. So when I was in 8th grade, it was the first time I had gotten hurt, and I had broke my foot, my metatarsal. It's a bone on your the outside of your foot. I broke it playing basketball. And then in 9th grade, I broke my ankle playing soccer, broke part of my tibia. And then in 10th grade, I did not break anything. Thankfully, that was nice. And then going to 11th grade, I didn't technically break, but I dislocated my kneecap, which is technically like a little fracture. And when it did dislocate, it actually went out of place a little bit and caused my meniscus to stretch and tear. So essentially it was a 2-for-1 deal where my kneecap would dislocate and it would tear my meniscus partially. And that happened in 11th grade. And then in 12th grade, I did that exact same thing 2 more times. So I'm sure there's the question that you guys are wondering, why did I get injured so much? What was I prone to? Why me? Well, there's a couple reasons. My mom thinks that it has to do with me not eating enough calcium. I never drank milk. I didn't like milk, but she thought that I was not getting enough calcium, so my bones were fragile and they were breaking. I don't think it was that. I think I was getting really unlucky. And to go into more detail, essentially, the thing I did with my knee where I would dislocate it and then tear my meniscus, I did that 3 times in 2 years. The first time you do it, it just happened, right? It happened. But as it happened and your knee relocates, because it happens so instantaneously, my knee dislocates and goes back into the same spot. But when it does that, it stretches open the gap between your kneecap and it going out of place. So it becomes way more easy to do it. And I was also recommended to have surgery to do it, but I didn't want to do that because it was like an 8-month recovery. And that would be 8 months that I wouldn't be playing soccer. So I would take normally 3 months off instead of doing the whole 8-month surgery. And then I'd be back to playing soccer, and then I would re-hurt myself for 3 months. So what did I learn through this process? Well, there's a lot you learn because it happened to me over the course of 5 or 6 years. The first thing I learned is that kids can be mean, guys. Jeez. Based on the title of this video, many kids called me the Crippled Kid in school, which was, it is what it is. Like, I didn't take it too seriously or anything, or personally. Like, it was what it was. It's just like, I'm hurt. Like, I keep getting hurt. They would just call me the cripple or whatever, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Or they'd be like, oh, are you actually gonna, if I was back to normal, they'd be like, oh, you're actually gonna go run around? I thought you can't run because you're gonna break your leg or whatever. So anything I did that was physically active, people would say that I'm gonna break myself or whatever, which was never great to hear, but whatever. I would say it got to the point where people were literally just saying, when are you gonna get injured next? When's the next time? I'm sure it's gonna happen soon. Which, as a kid, you're like, I don't want to hear that, but you know what? It's life. It is what it is. I didn't take it personally, and it's just what you have to deal with going into middle school and high school. It's just how kids are. So, I also did learn that there never was an injury that I had that prevented me or stopped me from wanting to play soccer. And soccer was my favorite sport and the sport that I played throughout my life. I played I started playing when I was 4 or 5 years old and played all the way to my senior year in high school. And really what stopped me from playing was my last time I broke my knee. and that was the tipping point. But every time I got hurt, I never got depressed, but I was like, my motivation to get better was to play soccer again, and be with my friends on my soccer team, because I was a lot closer with people outside of school than inside school. So people, like, I was really good friends with my soccer teammates, not as much as my school friends, because that's what I did outside of school, and that's what I devoted so much time to, and I absolutely loved it. Like, me getting hurt, I wasn't ever like depressed. I was more just like disappointed. Not again. Now I'm gonna have to be delayed and have to recover and get back. But it was more like that, in the sense. It wasn't necessarily, why is life doing this to me? Why I'm depressed, I'm hurt, I can't do anything. It's more like, oh, I got to get back out there and play soccer. That's how I looked at it, because I loved it so much and loved being with my friends. So I wanted to talk about that experience for me with you guys, because I think everyone goes through things, getting made fun of in school and whatnot. That is one of the few things, and probably one of the honestly many things that I've gotten made fun of throughout school. But, I did get attention from it, and a lot of people, especially with my first 2 breaks where I broke my metatarsal, my foot, and then broke my tibia, which is my ankle. I got to use like a scooter in high school and in middle school, where I would rest my leg on one side and I would like push with my other leg to get around, instead of using crutches, which was a lot more convenient. And kids would try to take my scooter and run around with it because they thought it was fun. And I'm like, so I got a lot of attention through that way, but it was what it was. I hope I never get injured again. Of course, you have little tears, and I don't mean like actual tears of muscle, but I mean you have little things that come up, like you might get sore, you might pull something. But I have not got hurt really ever since that, in my last year of high school. So it's been 7-8 years since then, and I am on a clean slate right now. So yeah, that is what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Hope maybe you guys can connect in a certain way, or you can empathize. Maybe you guys went through something similar, or maybe you had something else that you were made fun of throughout high school about, or throughout school about, similar to me. But wanted to share that story with you guys. Hope you guys all have a great night, and peace out, brothers.